Sup, dude? Prime Dwight Howard wasn't human. From 2006 to 2012, he single-handedly made the Orlando Magic one of the best teams in the league. He was able to do this because look at him, the dude was yoked. He's got BBL shoulders, a 7'5" wingspan, and a damn near 40-inch vert. Back then, there weren't really any other centers who were built like that, so similarly to Shaq, Dwight physically obliterated his competition. Fun fact, Shaq actually really hated Dwight and still does because Dwight dressed up like Superman for the 2008 dunk contest, and if you weren't aware, Superman is one of Shaq's nicknames. So this made Shaq very angry because he wanted to be Superman. So like how any rational adult would handle the situation, Shaq decided to hold a grudge against Dwight for the rest of eternity and talk shit about him every chance he got.
This dude right here started the beef.
I was wearing a Superman cape.
It's only one Superman that ever come to this league, and you know his name. It's me.
I was supposed to say, who's in the building?
Were we supposed to say Aquaman?
At one point, he even said Andrew Bynum and Brook Lopez were better than Dwight because they were true centers who scored with their back to the basket. And Dwight wasn't because he was better at scoring through the pick and roll. Keep in mind, he said this in 2012 when Dwight was fresh off three-peating as Defensive Player of the Year. At that point, he had also already led the league in blocks twice and rebounds 3 times. Meanwhile, Andrew Bynum and Brook Lopez didn't do any of that even once. Dwight was clearly the best center in the league. Shaq was just being a big old baby. Most people weren't delusional and understood how great Dwight was, especially after he carried the Magic to the finals. During the 2008 to 2009 season, Superman was just 23 years old, but he was already a superstar, averaging 21 points, 14 rebounds, and nearly 3 blocks a game. With little actual basketball skill, it was pretty crazy how big his impact on the game was. He was literally just built like a brick shithouse and nobody could stop him. The dude turned a team that consisted of Rashard Lewis, Hedo Turkoglu, and Jameer Nelson into the best defensive team in the league. They also won 59 games and secured the 3rd seed. In the first round, Orlando matched up with the 6th-seeded Sixers, and to put it lightly, Dwight Howard fucked them. In 5 games, he averaged a highly efficient 24 points, 16 rebounds, and 3 blocks. The man had way too much girth for the poor Philly bigs, and Orlando went on to win in 6. In round 2, however, the story was much different. Orlando faced off against the Boston Celtics, who had won the finals the year before, but it wasn't a healthy Celtics team. You see, Kevin Garnett injured his knee and was out the entire playoffs. Through 6 games, the series went back and forth. Orlando would win one, then Boston would win one, and eventually, behind a 23-point, 22-rebound performance from Dwight, the Magic forced a Game 7. After 3 quarters, the Magic were up, but not by much. So in the 4th quarter, Hedo went up to Dwight and said, "Hey man, you've carried us this far. I think it's time I take the weight off your big, beautiful boulder shoulders and lead us to victory." Dwight responded saying, "Thank you, Hedo. That would be very nice." Hedo then proceeded to stroke the absolute fuck out of that thing, scoring 10 points, not missing a single shot, leading the Magic to a 20-point dub. With that, the Magic moved on to the conference finals where they face off with their biggest challenge yet, the 66-win MVP LeBron James Cleveland Cavaliers. Game 1 of the conference finals was pretty crazy. With less than 30 seconds left in the game, LeBron drives into Dwight's chest, sinks the bucket, and Dwight fouls out of the game. Bron then nailed the free throw for his 49th point, giving the Cavs a 2-point lead. Sadly for Bron, his near 50-point game went to waste. With like 15 seconds left, Rashard Lewis stared deep into Anderson Varejão's eyes and drilled the long bomb. Game over, Magic win 107 to 106. Game 2 was even crazier. With 10 seconds left, the game's tied at 93. The Magic's final play is for Hedo Turkoglu to get a little crazy with it, which he does magnificently, banging the contested midi to put Orlando up 2 with 1 second left. Then LeBron took a giant shit all over Orlando. Cavs win the game and tie the series at 1 apiece. Surprisingly, with how close the first 2 games were, the Magic went on to win Game 3 by 10, but like Games 1 and 2, Game 4 was a nail-biter. At the end of regulation, the score was tied and headed into overtime. Dwight dominated OT, scoring 10 points, shooting 100% from the field. His biggest moment came with 21 seconds left as he got fouled and sent to the line. I haven't mentioned it yet because it's pretty common knowledge, but Dwight Howard was dookie at the free throw line. He missed well over 4,000 free throws in his career, shooting just 57% from the line. And because he was such a dominant force in the paint, he got fouled a lot. The dude had 5 seasons where he averaged over 10 free throws a game, but he was only making half of them, so a lot of points were getting lost. If he was a better free throw shooter, instead of scoring in the low 20s, he would have been putting up 25 to 30 a night. Anyway, back to Dwight at the line. Orlando had the 2-point lead, but Dwight could push it to 4 if he made both. What does he do? Switches both of them hoes like a pimp. The rest of OT was a bunch more free throws, but Orlando kept the lead and won by 2, putting the Cavs in a chokehold with the 3-1 series lead. Orlando went on to win in 6 behind a Dwight Howard masterclass where he put up 40 points and 14 rebounds. I know this video is about Dwight, but in that series LeBron nearly averaged a 40-point triple-double. I don't really have anything else to say about that other than goddamn boy. Orlando moved on to the finals where they were matched up against the Black Mamba, and honestly, to keep it short and sweet, the Magic got throat-throttled. Dwight's scoring dropped to just 15 a game, meanwhile Kobe was dropping 30 bomb after 30 bomb. In Game 3, Dwight did get the Magic their first win ever in the finals, and in Game 4 he got an NBA Finals record 9 blocks, which is pretty crazy, but they stood no chance and Kobe hit him with the gentleman's sweep. After they lost in the finals, the Magic slowly went downhill and eventually traded Dwight to the Lakers. He didn't play his best with LA, but he was still an all-star and led the league in rebounds. He didn't play his best because he dealt with injuries and also because for some reason he refused to run the pick and roll. Dwight was a fantastic pick and roll scorer, in fact one of the best in the league, but he just refused to run it for some reason, and instead he wanted to score through post-ups. The Lakers had Steve Nash, one of the greatest point guards ever, and he still didn't want to run the pick and roll. Maybe it's because Shaq dissed him, saying he didn't have any post moves, but I mean, Shaq was right. Dwight wasn't skilled in the post. He turned the ball over a ton and he didn't have very many moves. Honestly, if he wasn't so hard-headed, his career would have panned out a lot more positively. After one season with the Lakers, Dwight left and signed with the Rockets, pairing up with James Harden. This would be his final year as an all-star and probably marks the end of his prime. Not much happened with Houston, but he did average 26 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 blocks in round 1 of the 2014 playoffs. They did lose, however, so it didn't really matter. But anyway, prime Dwight Howard was really good, and I refuse to let anyone forget it. Another guy who was super dominant was Arvydas Sabonis, Domantas Sabonis' dad. He was basically a 7'4 Jokic, and it just so happens I made a video on him. You can click here to watch it. Thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed. Bye, dude.